everybody, and welcome to another brand new edition of T Watches a Scary Movie. My name is T, and we are talking scary movies. I appreciate you tuning in for another brand new review. Remember, new episodes are guaranteed to go up every Wednesday night at 8:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, but I always put out extra horror content throughout the week. Best way to stay on top of that is to get to my link tree. You can do that by going to linktr.ee/T Scary Movie. If you go to my link tree, that's going to give you access to the YouTube page for the video versions of the show, to your favorite podcasting platforms for the audio only versions of the show, to my Letterboxd page for my movie reviews and my rankings throughout the year, to my TikTok page for movie news, movie premieres, and me trying to make a joke here or there, you know, if you actually do find me funny, and to my Fangoria shop page where you can enjoy my discount on anything in the Fangoria store, including their yearly subscription. Hit that subscribe button on the link tree, or if you're watching or listening to this somewhere else, hit subscribe there as well too, folks. It'll help me get those subscribers up, because the more subscribers I have, the more of you tuning in, the more content I gotta get put out for all of you. We got a lot of great stuff that I've been putting out recently, and more stuff still to come. We just got done talking Perpetrator. We talked about season 2, episode 1 of Interview with the Vampire. We are cracking year 3 of the After Dark Horror Fest. I just got done doing the first film there, Autopsy, and other stuff we have coming up as well too. I Saw the TV Glow, In a Violent Nature. There's so much fun stuff coming out, y'all. So hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, so you can catch all these reviews, movie news, anything that I'm dropping here as it comes out. So what am I talking about tonight? Well, folks, believe it or not, back in 2008, I got a chance to go and see the original Strangers movie opening night. And wow, to think that it's been 16 years at this point, y'all. 16 years. I was 20 at the time. 20 years old, coming up on my 21st birthday. And I got a chance to see the original one in theaters. And now 16 years later, we have The Strangers Chapter 1. This is the first of what's supposed to be a trilogy of films that are all coming out within the next year. Now, Rennie Harlin is on directing duties for all 3 of these movies. They were all shot back to back. So these 3 films are done. It does not matter at all how this movie is received, because unlike Halloween, unlike The Exorcist, this, like they said, the movies are done. They're filmed. They're in the can. So even if they don't all get theatrical releases, these movies are waiting to be put out. So it's just very interesting the way that Lionsgate decided to go with this project compared to a number of other franchises trying to do the same thing. But anyway, that means tonight we are talking The Strangers Chapter 1. Now, folks, I have talked about it on this show here before. I am not a fan of the original Strangers film. I'm just not a fan of it, honestly. You know, I think I was expecting a lot more when I saw it opening night. You know, the jump scares were here and there. We had the like you had the whole the scares over and over of anytime it was dark, anytime there was a shadow, anytime you couldn't see something, is this going to be like where like one of the strangers pops out from, things like that. And I wanted to like it. I really did. But honestly, outside of feeling like it had like a really good ending, because I really did enjoy the ending of The Strangers for sure, outside of enjoying that ending that we got, I just didn't see the same movie that everybody else did. And it's a shame, because I'm a big fan of Scott Speedman. I'm a big fan of Liv Tyler. I've actually met Liv Tyler in person before. I saw her at SummerSlam like almost 10 years ago at this point, and she was cool as hell. We got a photo together. And my boy Glenn Howerton, Dennis Reynolds is in that as well too. I want to like the original Strangers, but it just doesn't click with me. And for those of y'all that do, I know a lot of you have it very high on your best of list, and more power to you. I'm glad you enjoyed it. The second film, though, The Strangers Prey at Night, I've talked about before that I think that's just a vastly superior film, honestly, because while we still get a lot of the same scares, a lot of the same like tricks that we got in the first movie, the fact is that it's not really set up the same way to where the protagonists are like, you know, they're just fucked the entire time, which is really the way that movie seems. Like, it doesn't matter, they get the shotgun and everything in the original movie. Like, you never feel like they have the upper hand at any point. Whereas in Strangers Prey at Night, you actually feel that that family has a chance to stand up against these strangers. I don't know, like there's something about Prey at Night that just works really, really well. It's faster, it has a much faster pace to it. I just think it's far more enjoyable than the first film, night and day difference. And so I didn't know what to expect out of chapter 1 here, because I think Rennie Harlin is one of my all-time favorite directors. Cliffhanger, Nightmare on Elm Street 4. He's done so many movies that I love, and so that was a good sign seeing him come on board. Madeline Petch, who I'm a huge Riverdale fan, a huge Riverdale fan. So her coming on board, that's another positive there for me as well too. But what I was worried about was the fact that if we're getting a new movie, is it either going to capitalize on what Prey at Night did so well, which was it upped the pace while still having like a lot of the same scares from the first movie. You had more people to work with, which sometimes that works, having a small amount, like a cast of 2 that's being hunted. Sometimes could be a cast of 1 if you're watching something like Hush, for example. But it worked out really well in Prey at Night. It just translated better. So I was wondering, was chapter 1 going to follow the same lead here with that? Or was it going to go back to what the original film was really looking to do? And the thing is that nobody really clarified, because there was a lot of talk about whether or not this was a sequel, whether or not it's a remake, whether it's a reboot, because we're getting 3 films. And it's kind of unheard of. You know, you're coming in with the 3rd, the 4th, and the 5th film. You're going to do a trilogy of those back to back. Like, that's just, that's really, really unheard of. You usually do that at the beginning. Well, folks, the only spoiler that I'm really going to toss out here is that chapter 1, it is a remake, honestly. It is a very loose remake of the first film. And here's the thing. I don't want to confuse people out there who aren't going to differentiate between a remake and a reboot. So let's talk about that real quick. A reboot is when you're like restarting the whole idea and you're going to do something like typically completely different. Like you're going to take a lot of what came in the past, but you're not really looking to remake that. Like Friday the 13th, for example. If you watch the one from 2009, you know, it kind of adapts like the first 3 movies across the entire film without doing the exact same thing. That's a reboot. It's not a remake of those movies, because we'd be seeing almost beat for beat the same stuff happening. Like, for example, you could say like Fright Night technically is a remake, because that's a little bit closer to the same ideas happening in that, just executed very differently. Both great examples. See those remakes if you haven't, remake and reboot. They're both fantastic. Now that I've confused you, my point of this is The Strangers Chapter 1 ends up being a very loose remake. So we have the young couple who end up in this in this isolated house, and the strangers descend upon them, and it's up to them to survive, to escape, kill them, whatever they need to do to basically survive. That's the plot. And the thing is, honestly, is that, again, I've already said this is a loose remake of the first film, and that's a lot of the bad of it. Because the issue here is that you kind of can know what to expect out of this film. A lot of these same beats are still going to be here in this movie. Like, it's going to look really, really similar. It's just a fresh coat of paint. It's a younger coat of paint, I guess, if you could say that as well. And I think I got a little bit of an issue with the marketing of it. And I'm going to try to say it off the top of my head here, or stuff that's been talked about, but I swear to God, in a lot of the marketing building up to this, whether it's been stuff online or in a trailer, there's a lot of talk about us finding out more about the strangers, which, me as somebody enjoying this, I don't know if I ever needed that information, because while again I don't really enjoy the first movie, I do think the idea behind it is terrifying. I think that's a terrifying premise to go with, and honestly, finding more out, it's not that kind of movie. It's not, I don't think that's going to make it better for me, honestly, because that only really works if there's some kind of personal connection. They could be random, you know, Joe Bob Schmuck, basically, trying to kill these people, and then it wouldn't matter to us at all. There has to be a personal connection, and again, original and remake are focusing on a couple. So what else could we find out about these strangers besides seeing them do this over and over again that's really going to make the story any better for us? At least for me, honestly. And so with this movie, I think the issue is that I kept hoping that there was something more. I kept hoping that something different was going to come out of it, that there would be like kind of like the director's cut of the first film almost. And things are done slightly differently, but not enough to really set it that far apart from the original film. And not to mention the fact that Richard Brake shows up in a cameo in this. Richard Brake, y'all know who Richard Brake is, Night King, baby. Barbarian, Doom. My man has been in so much. 3 from Hell, 31. Richard Brake makes a cameo in this, and it is a cameo, and I got sad because I thought that would actually be a bit of a larger role, but I should have known better because, again, these Stranger movies have a very tight cast to it, and he's just not a part of that, unfortunately. So cool seeing Richard Brake. But I digress. A lot of the same beats are there, but here's the interesting thing about it. Beyond the fact that it's just kind of like updating what we saw in the 2008 original film, I hate to say it, y'all, but it does it better. Honestly, the way it came off to me here was that they took the story of the original film, but they took the pace that Prey at Night works on, and they put those things together and they made a better movie. And that's insane to me because, again, like, I respect how scary, how terrifying the idea behind the strangers really are. 3 people randomly show up in mass with these weapons that kill you. They don't really have a reason because you were home. Is Tamara home? And like, it's terrifying. It sure is. But I mean, it just didn't compute with me in the first movie. I couldn't connect with it, and I love slashers, but it just didn't do it for me at all. But part 2 worked, and the only thing that part 2 really did differently was add a couple more bodies to it and up the pace. And by giving that pace to the original film, is that all that I really needed? Like, if the original film had the pace of Prey at Night, would I have liked it more? Because I did like chapter 1. And here's the thing, there's really not much else to talk about because it's the same movie while also not being the same movie. There's not really anything different here I can mention except for one key point about the couple here. So Madeline Petch and Froy Gutierrez play Maya and Ryan, our couple who the strangers are going to prey upon. And in the original film was Scott Speedman and Liv Tyler. And the story in the original film with them was that they were kind of at the end of their relationship. It was about to be done. They were going to this wedding, and they're trying to like figure this thing out between them. And so it made the movie, even if I didn't like it, it made the movie a bit of a drive because as broken as they are, you kind of see like, under duress, it brings you closer together and you're working it out and you're really rooting for them to get it all figured. And, in the end of the movie, it's lovely with the 2 of them. And, that part's really, really good. And in this movie, Ryan and Maya are, for the most part, really happy. Yes, there are a few problems that they have, and I'm not going to spoil what those are there. But for the most part, they're good together. And so I think it also poses the question, is the horror better because they're happy, so now we can just focus on the terrible stuff that's going on? Or is the horror better when the couple's worse off because we want them to live to make their relationship? And I kind of feel it's like, see, I was about to say it's like the other one, but it's not really. It's just I didn't like the strangers. I don't know, but that's a big difference here, is that Ryan and Maya, our couple here in chapter 1, are actually happy in this movie. And so it's a lot more positive spending time with them than it was spending it with our couple in the original film. Yeah, it's still brutal. I mean, there's still blood. You're still, there's still going to be some white knuckle moments in it for sure. For those, again, who, find the jump scares and popping out of the darkness like really scary, you'll still have that in there. There's also some really funny bits to where I honestly think Maya smoked the longest joint ever, because there's this part where she lights a joint and goes and does a bunch of stuff. And then she goes and takes a shower. And we've seen her smoking this joint numerous times, and it's still there after she gets out of her shower. It's like, that's the longest joint ever, whatever. And then the other thing is that there's a point in the movie where they use Best of Times by Styx. And for the longest time, I associated that song with Big Daddy. It's the scene where Joey Lauren Adams and Adam Sandler are about to kiss, and like that's going in the background. And then from Riverdale, one of the Sprouses. Wow, that's a connection. Yeah, one of the Sprouses who's playing the kid wakes up and like kind of breaks the kiss up. So I am now going to associate Best of Times with The Strangers Chapter 1. Either way though, y'all, here's the deal. I honestly feel that if you enjoyed the original film, you're probably not going to like this because you liked what you liked in that first movie. You found it probably scary, terrifying. You connected with it the right way and the pace worked for you like it didn't work for me. And if you did enjoy it, you're not going to like this movie. If you didn't like the original Strangers, but you like Prey at Night, then you actually might find yourself enjoying this just because while the plot, in my opinion, is not as good as Prey at Night, because again, it's just a remake, unfortunately, of the first movie, it moves at that same pace. So either way, go and check it out. It's in theaters this weekend, opening up in theaters this weekend. And again, the interesting thing is part 2 or chapter 2 and chapter 3 are already filmed. So if this movie doesn't make money this weekend, if it doesn't open big like it needs to, what happens to the chapter 2 and chapter 3? Do those end up on streaming? Do they just cut them eventually? Because guys, like without spoiling anything, it is the first of a trilogy. So I guess we'll see. But either way, go check it out. Let me know in the comment section, which of the Stranger films do you enjoy more, the original or Prey at Night? Let me know in the comment section, folks, and hit that subscribe button. I got more great reviews coming for you. My name is T. We've been talking scary movies. Stay scared. Boy here is a big fan of Fangoria. So, if you want to check out the world's best horror magazine that's out there, get a chance to get yourself your own subscription, which I just got my first one back in 2022 and I don't regret it for a second. But if you want your own Fangoria subscription or you like the Fangoria merchandise, then head over to the Fangoria shop and use my link if you want to save yourself some money, folks. That's an easy one to remember. Just go to shop.fangoria.com/AXDEW. Again, that's shop.fangoria.com/AXDEW, or use my specific code AXDEW at checkout. You can save 20% off your entire order, and that implies 2 subscription and one-time orders as well. You don't want to miss out, folks, because with the magnitude of horror movies we've had released in the last few years, and with what we have on the horizon, Fangoria is going to be your #1 source for all that great, juicy, bloody information in the world of horror. So again, head to shop.fangoria.com. Hey there, folks! Thanks for tuning in to T Watch This Scary Movie. I appreciate you checking out another review or movie news, whether we're talking movies, TV shows, books, or games, whatever, it's all scary. Remember, you can check out new episodes every Wednesday night at 8:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on the YouTube page for video. That's youtube.com/C/Theron Reynolds Scary Movie. Again, youtube.com/C/Theron Reynolds Scary Movie. And you can check out the audio version on all your favorite podcasting platforms. Just search T Watch the Scary Movie or TWASM. Don't forget, my name is T. We've been talking scary movies. Stay scared.